I think that for me, and I would imagine that for most anyone who becomes an artist in maybe any medium, it's because, you know, there are certain aspects about the world and about being a person that are not very satisfactory. And what I think about all the time, even in live performance, but especially with recording, is trying to eliminate, or to maybe I would say reduce, the artificiality in it as much as I possibly can, at which I think really can only be achieved by communicating in as direct a way as possible, you know, which involves being, maybe I would say vulnerable, certainly I would say not defensive. You know, you have to play the way you play, and some things about it will be good, some things about it you might think are less good. Some people will like it, other people will not like it, but it has to be as purely a reflection of who you are when you woke up that day as possible. So in 2024, I commissioned 3 American composers of 3 different generations. I think at the time their ages were something like 80, 41, and 22. So roughly my age, old enough to be my father, old enough to be my child. I know commissioning is always a gamble. You just don't know what you will come up with. And normally if I, you know, commission a group of composers, if I get one piece out of it, I think, oh, that's really something, then that's a great result. And this was 3 out of 3. That all 3 pieces I've played many times, and all 3 of them continue to be more and more interesting with repetition, which I think that's basically the sign of great music. So I'm really thrilled, and I'm really happy that these pieces now have been recorded and that they're going to be released on Orchid Classics. That's Tyshawn Sorey, Alvin Singleton, and Tyson Davis. 3 pieces that are very, very different, but each with a discernible voice and an unmistakable voice. Tyshawn is so interesting because he is this really phenomenal jazz drummer, but the music that he writes doesn't really conform to what you might expect, knowing that that's his background, except for the fact that it should sound improvised. That if you play his music and it sounds like it has this kind of rigor, that every single thing was planned in advance, that you've played wrong. And I love music like that. I love music that feels like it was created in the moment, and I love the challenge of trying to reproduce that feeling in a performance. This piece has what I would call composed freedom, because I think he actually says in the score that it should be played freely, but I think what he means is that if you play it exactly as written, it will sound free, because the rhythmic structures are constantly changing, and there are sometimes in between the different gestures these very long silences, but written at very specific lengths. And I think I don't think, you know, when you're listening to it, you're meant to hear 1, 2, 3. You're meant to feel the suspension of time, but I think his hearing is so precise and his imagination is so specific that he writes it out very carefully so that you will then hopefully be able to give the impression of something completely free and flexible. For Anthony Braxton is, first of all, an amazing soundscape. Yeah. Taishan's harmonic language, the sonorities he creates are so beautiful and so meaningful and so personal. But it's not just a collection of attractive sounds. There is a structure to the piece. And one thing which I find really amazing about it is that when I finish it, if I've played it well, I feel like there is this sort of sense that we were taken on a journey which began at the first note and somehow inevitably made its way to the end. And that's amazing that he's able to create something that is both so sonically beautiful and also tells such a story. And it was part of a project where I paired contemporary works with the last sonatas of Schubert, but there was no particular intention that the works were supposed to respond to or relate to the Schubert sonatas anyway. But having said that, somehow I had this instinct that Taishan would write a piece that would be an incredible partner for the Schubert B-flat sonata, and I was right. There is something about his ability to, first of all, suspend time and also take you completely out of your corporeal world. You really feel that you're transported to some other dimension when you listen to his music, and that's what I find really magnificent about it. It's completely unique. It's quite spiritual, I find, absolutely honest. And those are, some of the qualities that I appreciate most in music, whether it was written 300 years ago or 100 years ago or yesterday. I probably will always find it difficult to play to an empty room. I mean, there is some sense in which music is a very private expression, and something about that is wonderful, that you're alone with the music. But I am a performer. I was born with that bug, and I do want the contact with the listener, and therefore that is difficult about recording. It always has been, it probably always will be. But at the same time, I'm incredibly grateful that technology makes it possible to share this music, this form of expression, which means more to me than really basically anything, with more people, and with people, wherever they are in the world and wherever they are in their lives at that moment. I think it's an incredible thing, and I'm quite excited by what ConcertLab can do, that there is a kind of a stripped down purity to the way the music then is transmitted to people, again, wherever they are, which I think it's unlike anything that I've ever not just taken part in, but also seen, and I think is, in a positive sense, the way of the future.